had to get up with IT. Well, he's not in here, but I would have to. There you go, Randall. I would have to get up with IT and we would have to figure it out as we go. But they can be programmed time the officer get out of the card. Once it's blue, a lot of them, especially with the K9s, once their blue lights is activated, that body worn camera is turned.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it where, in social media, whatever, where they have take people and they turn them off whenever a critical moment comes. Have you gotten any training yourself? Have you been to any trainings?
I have not, but just like on my laptops, computers, they're required to keep their GPS on all the time. The only people can deactivate their GPS is the one who's doing the undercover investigation. Then they have to get approval from myself or the major. There's policy and I will implement and put this in policy that you have to have your body worn camera on all the time when you're interacting with someone in the public.
Okay, and, does anyone else have any questions?
You've got 691,000 for a 5-year contract. Does that mean it's 120,000 a year?
Yes, sir.
So this isn't an upfront number. It's pays you go.
Yes.
So just for clarification, the company, you would set up a contract with the company and just pay them 120 per year? Or would you have to pay everything up front?
Catherine, I believe we had to pay the first time. First time is up front, and then after the first contract, we'll be paying annually. That's
It
correct.
would, and it would be a lease to own. So after the last 5 years, we would renew with a new, it was a lease.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what's
And that's
like-
very common. That's what we would recommend as well. If we did fund this request, we would have recommended leasing
what's the life expectancy of the cameras?
5 years.
But yes,
5
years, they just trade them out?
trade them out, yes. And if something was to happen when it's warranted, they'll bring a new one in and exchange it out.
How long is the warranty?
If they're leased, they're under warranty.
Okay, so if one gets damaged,
Yes, sir.
They'll replace it. We will have some spare. I think they told they keeps 2 spare all the time within the office. And if one breaks, we replace that and they come and get that one. And so we always have 2 spare ones.
I mean, if the dog eats one and tears it all to pieces, they replace it.
I don't know about a dog. I imagine the same thing.
You didn't
in
get that
elec-
specific.
In electronics,
I mean, but in the line of duty, if one gets damaged, it would be replaced.
it will be insured to be replaced, yes.
Okay.
How many are you requesting?
60.
Is that just deputies or is that including?
That's deputies, but I'll
Officers.
also, if this goes well, I would like to see the detention center get them also. But the detention center, you can get them and just exchange them according to shift, not to every detention officer.
So we only need 2.
I just think it's be an asset and is a valuable to the Vance County Sheriff Office.
Okay. All right,
And anything we can do to repair relationships within our community, I think would be a good thing for everyone.
Catherine, where is that in our,
It-
which bullet is it?
It's the unfunded request under page 9, under,
Under his request, which one is, where is it?
Let me ask you about,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the,
page 9, half, midway down.
so you're saying that,
Okay,
you'll sign a contract?
yeah, okay, I see it.
For 5 years.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. You'll sign a contract with this, Utility Associates, Inc.
Yes, sir.
In that contract, does it talk about, what their repair is gonna be? In terms, I'm thinking about mean time between failure. So how long does it go before you have to repair it in some form or fashion? What does the contract say?
If it can't be repaired, they're gonna keep us with 2 replacements at all times. If one get broken in the field tonight, we take one off the shift and we will call them and they will have another one overnight to us. So
Oh, so it's no repairing done. This is just.
if it can't be,
direct
they're gonna send us another unit immediately.
And that's in this cost of this $691 I'm looking at?
Yes, sir.
Are the SROs?
No, that's $691,000.
Yes, 691,000.
Oh, yeah, I just looked at this comment here. I thought
Yes.
it was $691,000.
Oh, no, thousands. Yes,
For 50 unions.
Are the SROs included in this?
yes, sir.
Does any of the surrounding counties have these? Do you know?
Wake County, Nash County, Franklin County. So a lot of counties and cities, a lot of cities have them. Not Creedmoor, Lewisburg PD, a lot of cities have, more cities have them than sheriff office, but there's a lot of them out here.
And I was listening for the name of some tier one counties.
Sir,
I was listening for tier one counties.
Tier
Wake
one.
County and Nash County, but not tier one counties. Those are counties with big budgets.
I do understand, sir.
So you said you'd spoken with Representative Sossaman,
I have.
and what are his thoughts? Is he thinking you might be able to get them?
He supports it and like I said, we chatted last night by via text and he submitted the paperwork. He said he got about 10 different things he's trying to do for Vance County and that's one of them.
Yeah, I guess my concern is if we go ahead and approve it, then he's gonna cross it off the list.
Maybe we should wait and see what he does first.
That'll all be approved by June 30th, hopefully, right?
Hopefully, yes, but as a CFO is trying, this is unfunded. So there's,
I know it's unfunded right now. but
Yes, sir.
If we decided to proceed with this, then
and then I would say that in the negotiations that it'd be real easy to say,
they've already got them.
yes, sir.
Isn't that one of the things we can come back, isn't that one of the things we can come back later and do? If they don't get funded, we find a need for it?
We could wait till after the legislative session and then we could come back and make an amendment.
Revisit it.
And I can tell you, other counties that I've dealt with, Sheriff, they got a few on grant. And then the county, I had experience in Wake where you get a few on certain shifts through grants, and then you work your way up. It's even Wake couldn't pay for all of them at once. So it's a large expense and it is recurring.
I had to wait to see what we get from the legislature first and then come back and visit it later.
Because the legislature ought to be done by the end of June. And then we could go back after, July, August or whatever and review it. And proceed from there. We don't want to hurt. our-
No, I just want to be heard and I thank y'all for your time.
I just
I just got
Let me
one.
ask you one other question, Sheriff.
Yes,
Where in your, I'm looking at this long list of things you're unfunded for. Is this the first, is this a prioritized list? Where does this come in your priority of things you want?
this come in my priority along with the jail.
Well, I'm looking at this list that we have.
I shouldn't have no more than what,
Now budget, you have about 5,
Um,
6 or 7 items that we have not funded. Yeah.
You requested 400,000 for vehicles and we approved 3 to get 6 vehicles. You wanted 8 and we gave you 6. You requested the body worn cameras. We did replace a certain number of MDTs, not all of them, based on the recommendation of Brian. And you wanted $10,000 increase in your contracted services and we gave 2. We then took your sheriff legal services. You requested 10 and we negotiated 8. And those are the 5 he was talking about.
Well, you also requested, it looks like $5,000 increase in school resources officers.
For auto supplies.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm looking at this list of things you requested here. Auto supplies for SROs and budgets, you want another $2,500 increase over that. So my question is, here's a list of things that you requested that we have not funded.
yes,
This is just one of those things.
yes,
Now, in that list of things that you requested, you're saying if you were to prioritize these in terms of what's most important to you in terms of this list of things we've not funded,
yes.
where does this fit?
It'd be at the top. That would.
So you wouldn't care if we didn't give the school resources another
It's not that I wouldn't care. It's-
That doesn't, giving them $5,000 does not have priority over this.
No, not to me. No, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And all these other things? So
Yes.
And this one here about these 8 vehicles, 300,000 for 6
Oh.
vehicles. Again, that is lesser in priority to this.
It's just like, when
That's what you're telling
chairperson.
me. I just want to make sure. I
Yes, sir.
understand.
When chairperson spoke up yesterday to give us the opportunity to come up here and talk about things that were not funded, this is what I chose to speak on. The rest I'll just table.
Mhm. Okay.
But can I ask this along the line of what Colonel was asking Curtis?
Yes, sir.
You requested 5,000 for school resource officer, but did we provide you, instead of the 5,000, we provided you 25? We gave him 25, right, Catherine?
He requested $5,000 for school resource officer auto supplies
Uh-huh.
for the car maintenance. And because we are rotating vehicles, because Lieutenant Robertson and I have finally worked out a vehicle schedule, they rotated one of the cars out. We didn't need that much, so we unfunded it.
So we did what now?
We didn't fund it.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Let me ask one other question.
Yes, sir.
In terms of encounters with citizens,
Yes.
which when I read your paper here, and complaints from citizens that having those body count cameras would reduce the complaints or whatever. How many complaints do you have from citizens that if you had this, you would not have? What's your estimation of that?
I believe that,
Annual basis.
I believe the number would be cut in half. Colonel,
Hey, what's the number?
I don't have a number.
What do you think the number is?
Sir, without pulling my data, I have no idea.
And the reason I ask that question is, I don't, and Dan, you know more about this than I do, but I don't see a whole lot of citizen complaints in the newspapers or anything against the sheriff's department.
People come and complain because they got a lot of hot air they want to blow out. But the first time I had a citizen complaint form and asked them to actually sit down and write out their complaint, that's the end of it. You never hear any more from it. Or a general conversation, people just want someone to listen to them.
Oh, that I do understand.
And I do take that time and opportunity, and my staff, we're gonna listen to any and everybody. I don't care who they are.
Mhm.
And that exonerate a lot of complaints.
Mhm.
Some of the complaints are legit. I deal with them. I do suspensions. I do counseling forms, both at the detention center and the sheriff's office. But regardless, regarding to a number of scale of complaints where it come to discipline and firing people, I haven't had a lot of them. I have not.
And you haven't had a lot of complaints either, I guess, I don't know. A lot of complaints either that if you had these body cameras, that would have resolved the issue.
I think it will.
Your
People-
data on that for
The-
our county, I'm just
Yes.
talking about for our.
I
county.
think the people, you're in the county with the people and they know they're being recorded, they will act differently.
You also have the reverse side of that in a legal situation, that you have legal consequences if
That-
something were to go
yes.
wrong and you've got it.
You got
documented.
that, and then if the officer wrong, you got something to back you up. The sheriff officer and part of our investigation if the officer done something wrong. It's not against the public, it's to protect and serve.
I'm gonna make a suggestion to you. Nothing wrong with these guys
Yes.
are saying. But you say informally, you have people to come to you and complain.
Yes,
Informally, I suggest that you maybe create a log so that you do keep up with that and everything. You don't have anything official and everything, but for your sake, to be able to answer questions like what the colonel's asking you, I think it would be in your best interest to develop an informal log so that you would have some data to back that
you
up.
said you did come here last month, but
Uh-huh.
you never came back, but you
Yeah,
did.
you know,
come.
just
I'm-
something,
yeah.
something informal to back up that and everything. I think like what he asked you, if you had that, you could justify what he's asking. Because I'm sure they complain, and when they complain, you tell them to do something, put it in writing. Because we see that on TV when they ask somebody when they ask someone, would they like to go on camera, say, no, I don't want to go on camera and talk about it, but off camera, I'll give you some information.
Yeah.
And the main thrust of my question really deals with the idea of if you don't have, if the data is not that large, then getting these cameras a few at a time,
Mm-hmm.
I think has been mentioned, would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Since you don't have a big complaint pool, getting them from grants or whatever the state's going to do in the budget and all that, rather than asking for $691,000 of them at one time.
That's not what he's asked for all one time. He's doing it over a 5-year period of time, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that, 600 is the total thing over 5 years, right?
No, that has to be paid up front. And then when you
Yeah.
renew your contract, yes.
So what is that the minimum? Did you not say instead of 54, you couldn't order 27?
I could, I mean, yes,
So that would cut that $600 in half. Is that right?
yes.
you could order
So then
10.
You would only need.
Sir,
You could order 10.
I can order 10.
I'm back to her question about minimums. Could you order 10? Does it have to be half of 690? Could it be 10 of them?
I'd look at 25%.
When we say 690, are we talking about 690 or 690,000?
690,000.
91,000.
And that's,
Right.
you said now it's up front. It's not
That's-
110,000 a year or
That's
whatever.
what I was asking. It's up
It's
front.
it's a 5
The
year.
contracts for I believe it was 5 years and whatever that amount come up to $690,000.
They want that money up front, right?
What's the upfront?
I think it was 50 and then an annual payment,
How much?
50,000 and an annual payment.
And, but that's for the 54. So it wouldn't even be 50 if he had ordered less amount. Is that correct?
I didn't ask that question, so I'm assuming yes, but I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's something we should visit later and everything, because based on what Commissioner Brumman said and everything, we need to wait and see what the legislature is gonna do. We're not against it, Curtis.
Thank you.
I mean,
I just have one question for you, Sheriff. If we was to get a few at a time, like we discussed, would the shift leaders get them? How would you disturb us if you was to get a few?
The
up
to
front?
patrol, start off with the patrol division.
And how many?
What I would do, I would go back with the contractor and find out to break it down and get you what the numbers that you need, and I'll come back with that. But I'm asking y'all for support if legislators don't approve of it.
Okay, thank you a lot. We appreciate your input and we'll take it under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that wished to be heard concerning certain items? Do they feel that is either necessary, beneficial, or you think would help your department be more sufficient, that you want to address the commission at this time? Okay.
Madam Sheriff, you're ready. The CFO has prepared updates on items that you had questions about yesterday that we said we'd get back to you on. They range the gamut of services. There are positions in the back that we need consensus from the board to move on, as well as some of the items in the front on what the consensus of the board will be. But I'm going to ask Catherine to kick us off with fire services. That's okay with you?
I mean, I just got this when I walked in here at 2 o'clock, so I hadn't had it for 25 minutes, but she's welcome to go and address whatever she want to. You know, just keep in mind, I hadn't looked at it, so, you know, I want to look at it before I make any kind of consensus on anything.
Okay,
But go
yes.
ahead.
Yes, ma'am. This is just a follow-up from yesterday. I did want to tell you, Commissioner Brumman, I did talk to Dr. Bennett today, and just to follow up on the school question that you had, she's still willing to come talk whenever we want to. But I did ask her why were the teacher supplements harder to fund and increasing when teacher positions have been reduced? And her answer was the follows: the amount of funding provided in the past doesn't fully fund the $2,500 supplement. Having said that, with the 30% flow through for charter schools, the original amount is now going to be reduced by 30%, therefore reducing the total amount available for supplements. John has the exact numbers for the number of supplements needed at the rate of $2,500 per teacher, minus the current funding from the county, minus the projected 30% from charters. The whole is much steeper, therefore reducing the amount of the supplement significantly. And then also with John, he said one thing to remember that is harder and is a continuing increase as well as the county, the retirement rate for teachers is now from 17.13 to 24.5, which is a state set rate, which is a 7.37 increase. This rate will always increase every year. Where in the past they recorded teacher supplements separately from a local current expense, they now must forward that 30% of that local expense of that 1.2 million to the charter schools to the rest of the local current expense funds received from the county. That means a teacher would go from a $2,500 supplement to a $1,750 per year if there is no increase in appropriation from the county.
Okay,
So,
back in the old days with our budget,
mhm.
we used to always wait till the end to do schools and those things. Because then the public would, say, oh, well, you can't cut the kids. If you'd done that up front and then done another budget that wasn't so popular at the end. So what they're doing, we give them funds. They've got a budget for a whole lot of different things. But they're using this teacher supplement as a little strangle card to, rather than cutting something else somewhere else, they're using that as the strangle card at the end for the end game to make us feel bad about, that's what I see.
Okay.
And I don't know if the school has an opportunity, if their budget is, I continue to look at, we've shut down 2 schools, we've done these things, and we haven't decreased the funding. And to me, it's a whole picture of looking at our efficiencies. I'm not, by no means do I want to cut teachers short. Teachers are the backbone of the system. But are there other areas in their budget that could be cut so that the teachers can continue to get their monies? And that's my question. I don't know the answer to that.
Was there a shortage last year?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yes, we funded 75,000 in additional funds last year due to state regulated increase in supplemental pay. They went to a minimum of $15 per hour for janitorial staff, and we supplemented that as well.
I have an educational question. If we are understaffed with teachers, where's their income? If they are way understaffed with teachers?
I'm not there. I don't know. I'll be more than glad to invite them here for y'all to ask
You
these
understand what I'm
questions
saying? They
again.
way understaffed
So-
with teachers. If they are way understaffed with teachers, where's that income for the teachers if they were staffed?
You mean the,
One teachers come from the state based on average daily attendance.
Uh-huh.
So based on average daily attendance and everything, you get in September, that's how they allotted their money. Then they take their money and decide, positions they have. They are short in terms of teachers and everything, but it's based on average daily attendance, based on
On the students?
the number of students on, I think, a certain day of September as to what their budget is going to be.
Okay, see, all this new,
It has
I'm,
nothing to do with the teacher position.
it has to do with, the amount of students.
Daily attendance. Number of students enrolled in public school at a particular date. Now, if enrollment increases after a certain date, too bad, except when you get an influx back from the students. If it's after the cutoff, average daily attendance, they don't get any more money.
Okay.
My thing in terms of public schools and everything, I think in terms of putting that based on, said they're getting less students. Fortunately, what they're having to deal with is teaching and educators. The job is becoming more and more difficult in terms of trying to educate. COVID did not help the situation. they're saying kids have lost 2 years, 3 years. It's really detrimental to the kids. And so therefore, they're having to do I'm speaking as a teacher, they're having to do more innovative things in order to meet their educational needs. So I regret that the school system does not request the budget, not get into all this stuff from teacher supplement, this, that. Tell us what you need and we look at it, not try to take it apart. It's their job to decide how they're going to spend it. And I think that's my take on it and everything. I think we go through and try to do too much too kinds of things, but I say to the system, tell us what you need based on every day within, and you do with it as you please. As a teacher, having worked in the system, it is nice to know that you get a supplement. Having done that having taught in the school system in Virginia, the supplement is it says we appreciate you. So it's a small amount, but I think it's a neat thing. So, but at the same time, I hate to use the term, Mr. Brummett uses the term string, but at the same time, we first what you need, and then we decide, and let's not figure it apart. Their job is to figure out how to use it.
And now they're being required to pay the supplement to the charter schools back retroactive. That's one of their problems.
It's not the supplement. They're required to pay a percentage of their budget to the schools based on
Based on the student.
ADM.
No, but what, we have provided teacher supplement pay. And I think the state has to help with that, some of that.
Okay,
But what's happened is the General Assembly has ruled that, well, they kept that money in the past. They now have to put it up for the last, 5 years or whatever it is. They owe charter schools now money that they did not pass forward. And that's where they're really running into a problem. Because the General Assembly has said they must pay back the money they did not provide for the last 5 years because they kept it.
that's still,
So it was following the students, like you're saying. It followed the students. But the supplement thing did not follow. They kept that for their teachers. And now they're saying you should have sent that money to them too. So it's my understanding they're about $2 to $3 million in the hole for what they owe charter schools.
and they have a fund balance, right?
Yeah, they do.
And their fund balance is,
I'm not 100% sure.
And they're trying to get us for that money or help them with that money. They're not going to go into their fund balance or anything else. It's their responsibility to pay it. They're trying to get us to help.
we don't specifically give money for a supplement. We give them dollars. They have capital dollars and they have operating dollars. And how they choose to spend it and how they choose to politically maneuver it is up to the way they want to do it. My question, like I said, I don't know the answers why I asked the question, is we've lost 35% of our student population. Why haven't our costs gone down?
I'm just trying to tell you why the costs are coming down, Dan. They have issues, they have education issues that they don't have funding to meet, to work with and everything. Just because they've lost students and you figure in terms of cutting the money, I think that education, to deliver quality education, that it costs, they need to use that money. Just because you lose the student, you lose the funds, the need is greater.
We closed,
And I say, what is it? You're dealing with a group of kids coming from a background that really, really needs more than what the public school, more than what they're getting funded for. So I look at it in terms of hoping that they can maintain a level of stability in terms of delivering educational services.
we closed 3 physical facilities. The Dabney School, Old Dabney School, where they had the Advanced Academy. We closed the Henderson Middle School and we closed Eden Johnson School.
Henderson Mills opened back up to innovate.
Well, they've got the academy in the old 7th grade building there. And then they've got this other thing that's or whatever that they built during COVID that was to videotape and stuff.
The elevation.
But my only point now, family, just because you close schools, you reduce the student load, you reduce the number of students, that what you're trying to do to deal with the remainder of the students that are in that school, they are in need of funds to be able to deliver quality education. You know, I hear what you're saying. You could think that's the case, but the clientele they're dealing with, that there's needed more funds in order to educate the kids that are remaining in public schools. That's the bottom line.
And then inflation costs have
Yeah,
increased the
right.
cost
Inflation increased the cost.
a lot since COVID has come. So even though we closed, we have a lot more expenses in terms of operating those schools and a lot more in trying to do recruitment for teachers and such. And keeping maintenance people there because, you know, it's still issues that is the fallout from the COVID has increased expenses as well.
So, you know, when you look at it, you say, okay, you got reduced students, you got reduced costs. But so many of those kids that look like me, that look like a young Orlando, you know, are the ones that are behind.
No, I mean, I went out there the other week for a drug program they did out there at the high school. And I was just amazed at, I mean, they had a program out there and I think every kid in the room, in the gym, had a phone and weren't paying attention to the program. They were all playing on their phones.
That's the problem they have in terms of educating them.
Yeah.
You ready for me to continue? Some of the questions that were just brought up yesterday that needed a little bit more clarification are what we're gonna go over. One of the first things was the increase on the fire prevention service, an increase from $2,000 to $4,500. What makes up that difference is a camera for $500, fire prevention and education, which includes specific programs such as fire prevention fire prevention week in schools and other various times, fire prevention materials, any job fairs, career days at churches, schools, and other civic organizations. Flipping from general fund to fire fund, here is a schedule of how many hours for the 4 additional positions to provide a certain type of 24-hour coverage, 2 positions at Bear Pond and 2 additional positions at Hicksboro. Here is the schedule for the total to match your fire fund, and here are the assumptions below.
Okay, so just to clarify things, at our last May meeting, we did state that we're gonna be conducting an investigation as to our, 1 county fire department and our 6 or 7, volunteer fire departments. So this right here, 4 additional people, this is, has not been actually approved by the, board. Is that correct for those?
Hey, ma'am, this is in our current year budget.
Okay, so this was
Yeah.
something that the county manager, a suggestion of his,
Yes,
but it's not been approved by the board. Is that right?
The commissioner board, no, ma'am.
Okay, all right, just want to clarify.
Or the Public Safety Committee.
Go ahead.
This was just from what we would heard or requested that they needed this coverage, so we tried to figure out a way to get them this
Mhm.
and recommend it. Down to zone.
You're saying this is not in the budget, right?
This is in the budget. This is in the fire tax fund, for no increase in fire tax and a way to try to get them what they have expressed they needed or wanted, to have more coverage. Down to zoning. Dan, you were talking about zoning. The cost increase went from 250 to 450. Warren County's at 27. One of the reasons is Warren County went from 275. Granville is 995 and Franklin County is 500. The carts, we still recommend to approve the contribution to 113. That'll be on our questions towards the consensus at the end to see if y'all would like to put that amount in the budget.
I just got one question going back.
Yes, ma'am.
I see, for the various volunteer fire departments, you have it broken down by the positions they have, hours worked, wages.
Mhm.
Do you have included on that, from the actual Vance County Fire Department as well?
That is in the general fund and on 531. You mean the amount of,
I mean, the breakdown like you did here, is it possible for me to get a breakdown of,
yes, ma'am.
for
If
them
you
as
look
well?
on page, a 97, you'll see that breakdown of the number of positions and regular salaries. There is 16. No. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're looking at the number of positions, you're looking at 16. And then if you have 16 positions, they work 29, 28. What? Okay, yeah. So they work 46,848 hours per year. Their wages are 836,766. Their FICA would be 71,280. So trying to compare apples and apples on this.
So you're talking about the requested numbers and not the actual budget right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then go ahead.
I just wanted to see the break.
Okay.
Wanted to see the breakdown. I didn't need to do-
It'd
I'm
be,
sorry, I thought he had to go. And then the total would be 954,894.
for me, it would be good to see in that format, like, just so we understand that we've got how many we've got down at the Car Lake substation, what level people, and then kind of a breakdown of the hours per year that's scheduled, it's, 6,580 hours in a year, whatever it is.
Okay,
And so that we know. Because they're 24/7 on all of those positions.
yes, they have,
Where the alternative that was presented was only 5 days a week.
right, this is based on the current contract. However, I know recently the commissioners voted that they could use it
Mhm.
throughout any time. So as long as as long as they don't exceed the amount of monthly funds, they can fund it at any time of the day, which gives them a amount of, I think it was 8,000. Ooh, I wrote it down. I forgot what it was. I think it's like 1.5 positions of 24 hours, 7 days a week at this.
Oh, it's 1.5 positions.
It, based on the contract that everyone signed, it's 2 24-hour positions at 5 days a week at Hicksboro and Bear Pond. All of the departments are the same at 2 positions at 12 hours per position at 5 days a week. The commissioners came back and then approved that as long as because the funding level or the current staffing is only at 71%, they wanted to be able to paid at different times of the day. So we allowed it as long as they didn't go over their monthly allotment, they could cover staffing at any time. This was an analysis that we came up with so that we did not have to raise taxes and to see if we can get more coverage at the current staffing level to see if we can to move forward to try to put it in place.
And we used a little over $200,000 of fund balance to do this.
Yes, sir, we do. if we fully, if they fully pay for everything in the whole budget, but they historically have not. But if we do completely max out fire fund, yes, sir, we do.
Can I ask, y'all finished with that?
Sir,
You're finished with that? Back to zoning, what was the purpose of, in terms of that question I asked about? I missed in terms of zoning. In terms of zoning, where you went from 250 to 450, we're trying to keep in line with other counties or what?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
And is ours based on acreage or what's ours based on?
Straight fees.
Or straight fee? Okay, thank you.
And I think Franklin's raising their fee schedule this year as well, but I'm not sure what they proposed.
Parks and Recreation, if you look at the back of your packet pages after, the Word document we put together, Dan, you requested a copy of the Parks and Rec budget from the city. I have attached that as well. The fire department inventory. If you look at the very back of this, that is attached as well. Not to jump around, but if you skip down, also included in this back package is the MOU from the schools, the sheriff's office and the schools and the sheriff's office and DSS. So that's what's in the backup of this. The boardroom updates, Dan, you had mentioned, speaking with the IT director to get this. I talked to Randall this morning about it and he said he thinks we can get everything upgraded in here for less than $5,000 and absorb it in this year's budget. He had some savings on another project and he thinks he'll be able to absorb it. So he's currently working on this. Yes, sir. Mhm.
What?
And hear you.
We also wanted to hit again on the CIP. I know things, for planning years. Again, just to confirm, we are only approving the current year CIP, which is currently in the budget. The CIP is a working document and that we review and update annually to reflect any changes in the community for their needs, priorities, and funding opportunities to ensure that infrastructure exists. So it's, again, you're only approving current year CIP, everything else is revolving. BFIS, I reached out to Walter again today. We're still waiting on that, Dan. EMS revenues, our EMS fees are still matching the highest in the surrounding counties. Our fees are based on Medicaid so that they will increase automatically without us having to update them. The emergency management, the road signs.
Just on, okay, on that Medicaid thing,
Mhm.
we bill at 1.5 times the Medicaid rate,
So as they go up,
but we're reimbursed at the Medicaid rate.
yes, sir.
And so we just write that part off. Is that
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, just like any other insurance company have deals or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but individuals with
Private pay.
private pay
Mhm.
pay the 1.5 times the
Yes, sir.
Medicaid rate?
Mhm. And we still have certain write-offs, but I mean, it's in with this new company, our private pay has just, we were at like 5 or 6% and now we are at 30, maybe, I think they said. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job with our
That's what-
private pay.
Is that with the new we went to?
Our EMS consultants, yeah. Excuse me, that's who we left with Colleton. Mhm.
And so we did make that change last year, right?
No, 3 years now? 20,
Who?
2 years ago,
2 years ago. Okay,
so almost 3. Mhm.
okay.
So they're doing great. The road signs, this line has historically been under budgeted and caused us to hold off on future sign installations. Installations for late in the fiscal year. The line item covers sign maintenance in addition to new signs. Planning does bill for this. We are recommending an increase in the planning fees. If you look at the plan under the fee schedule, page 10 of the recommended budget, under reviews and fees under planning, you'll see an increase of those. I believe there's 3 of them. Chris, you want to take the next two?
Yes, there was a question about the cost, the $125,000 cost of the comprehensive land use plan. Our existing plan is vastly out of date. Currently, we do not have anyone on staff who can update the existing plan, so it must be contracted out. The current plan is from 1997 with limited updates in 2010. And this is required under North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 160D.
I guess it's required to have one under the statute, but it doesn't require a complete revision. We can do change dates and move forward on that, right?
Yes, sir. I think that is allowed. But with the last plan being completely overhauled in 97 and with expected growth coming, it would be prudent to get a new comprehensive land use plan for the county.
Who does that?
What do you mean?
Do a plan? Well,
Oh, we would contract out and it would come before you and planning board.
I mean, I don't see the necessity of spending all that money on a plan that we basically got the same things going on when we did the last one was, we've got growth quarters and those growth quarters hadn't changed. We had the lake and that had moved. And so, we know the growth is coming from Raleigh and up the number 1 quarter and up to 85 quarter. And so to me, it just doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money just to revise a plan.
Who would you hire?
It would go out to bid and 125 would be up to an amount, that would be up to 125,000. And we would hopefully get multiple bidders to come in and
Bidders from, I don't have a lot of information on that. So what type of agencies would be bidding?
Engineers.
yeah, engineering firms, consultant firms. I mean, there's a group that goes around doing these for counties and local governments.
Chris, you have worked in areas like Raleigh and everything in terms of looking at their plan and everything to do that. What's been the years in terms when they've looked at their plan?
A lot of those governments that went to a unified development ordinance, it really is driven by communities after a while where communities say there's too much growth coming, or I don't like the development that's coming in around me and I want an update right now. So the staff would plan every 10 years, I think is a good goal to have. But depending on development pressure, you never want to get behind.
Well, I hear Dan and everything, but I look at this, you said 97. I realize Dan says in terms, not a lot has changed, but I think a lot has changed in terms of 23. That's 26 years, 26, plan's 26 years old. 26 years old, things have changed, we've changed, and I don't like spending that kind of money for it. I wish there was a way we could, but it may be something we need to investigate. I wouldn't say scrap it completely. Because growth takes place and everything in terms of things remain the same, but I have a son that lives in Charlotte and everything, and the growth has come. But what he said, wind up the infrastructure is not able to handle the growth and everything. It can come so fast that you're left out of the loop and everything, and then create bottleneck. We know Raleigh's coming, we know Durham is coming, but at the same time, a 26-year-old plan, I think we need to look at. We need staff, and y'all need to look at and review and everything. We don't want to be in a situation whereby we say, okay, growth is going to come, and it's the same thing, but it can overpower you. So I take an opposite stand from Dan and said, I would say, let's look at it, let's not scrap it, okay?
Where did we get this thing is 26 years old?
He says 97.
97 was the last major update, and the last update was 2010.
I know we've updated it once or twice since I've been on the board.
That was my understanding from the manager, was 97 was the last overhaul of it. And that 2010 was minor updates.
That's why I get the 26 years from. 97 plus 3 is 26 years.
How long you been on the board?
It's been 17 years.
Well, it looks like there's a distinction here between the original plan, which is 26 years old, and then updates to that original plan, which
We
are
did,
some years less than that.
we
That's what
did
I'm
a
hearing.
pretty extensive update on that plan when we did it.
Well, what
Because
we're looking at here.
in that term, in that time, I think it was 2008 when zoning was started. And so when the plan was last updated, it incorporated all of the dezoning and all of those things.
But so much has happened, Dan, in the last 10 years. You know, you look at what's taking place in terms of surround us, you know, like Oxford getting 4,000 houses, you know, within the next 4 to 5 years. So, you know, that's still, it was 10 years, updated 10 years ago. That's still 13 years ago.
Well, we still know where we're going to put them. I mean, they're going to go the
No,
same
but I
place
don't.
they were going to go 10 years ago.
You may, I don't.
I mean, you've got growth quarters.
But I still say we need to look at it.
Okay.
Well, we can go out for bids and we don't have to accept any bids. We can just ask and say, the bids come in some range we can afford, we might want to do it.
I'd like to look at it. I'd like to look at it. I'd like to review it. I'd like to look at it. And I'd like to, you know, I don't have a problem going to bids, right?
Doesn't
You don't
mean
have to
we're
accept
gonna
the
pay
bids.
for it. We just look at what the bids are. What do you think?
Especially since
I
it's
just-
required by
I
North
think
Carolina
it's-
General Statute, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna be in compliance
Mhm.
with
It's,
what the statute is gonna be.
it's one of those documents that's out there. It's basically, it's useless. Your zoning ordinance is what you generally go by as far as a working document. It's just one of those things that the state required. It's part of bureaucracy and doesn't do a whole lot. You know, you've got counties that's got these unified ordinances and all that, you know, we're not, hopefully not going there. And so it's just, to me, you just cut and paste the dates and move on and stay in compliance with the state.
Well.
Well, I'm
what I'm
against
hearing,
cutting
the
the face
state
days. I'd
doesn't
like to look
require
at it.
any timeframes.
Hmm.
From what I'm hearing, the state does not require any timeframes.
You said every 10 years, right?
I think that's correct. I pulled the statute, but again, you talk to other commissioners in Harnett or Johnston or, or Chatham, you want to be ready. You want it to update, even if it tells you the same information. I'm with you. Sometimes you feel like bureaucracy is wasting money, but this is an administrative function that helps you plan for the future of your community. That's my spiel on it, and I'm not a planner.
I like your take on it.
Okay, let's move on.
The other question was on LoopNet. That LoopNet is the commercial real estate sales portal. It allows economic development staff to market commercial properties within the county. That line item that was questioned also includes the current advertising of, well, for LoopNet, it's the current advertising, the county shell building. The budget also allows for additional digital advertising, such as the very successful WRL campaign Vance County Economic Development did last year, as well as other digital media marketing for any site selectors or publications out there to put Vance in a positive light.
And I guess my comment was, I'm not opposed to the EDC having LoopNet. What I was saying was we may need to look at outside marketing on some of these properties to get greater exposure.
Thank you.
We were asked about Partners of Hope. We requested that as well. The MOUs are in your packet. And I did leave a message for the director of the Boys and Girls Club for their fund balance as you requested. You want to take tires?
I will take trash. I spoke with Jason Files, the solid waste director. Yeah, we had actually worked with NCACC earlier this year and Department of Environmental Quality, the state DEQ. We do have alleged used tire dealers who do not collect the tire recycling fee that the state requires. We are advocating for clear legislation that would allow us to charge a fee if tire haulers cannot prove they replaced the tires with new. DEQ has recommended doing an audit, and we asked them to simplify the process for this. It's a little complicated. We've identified 2 used tire dealers who currently we do charge for disposal, and we're investigating an alleged out-of-state used tire dealer to begin charging as well. It's not a lot of amount of money, but if you set up a deterrent, they'll take them somewhere else.
Why do we accept tires from anybody out of state?
It's like I said, it's alleged that people have said there's someone from out of state coming. We don't know that that's true or not. So we wouldn't accept
Okay.
if that's the case, unless it was a monetary benefit to us, but I don't see how it could be.
Phew.
And the last things are about the positions that we discussed about, and we will, whether today or in the near future, need consensus from the board on if these positions are needed or not. Colonel Taylor asked us for the impact statements for the planning director position. This level position is essential due to the lack of knowledge and the experience in the planning department, combined with the loss of the county manager, who has greatly assisted with significant planning matters to include ordinance amendments, rezoning cases, and improved customer service. Without this position, the county has the potential for delayed and inadequate reviews of major residential, future, and commercial projects. As well, kind of on the same line of planning, I did mistake yesterday. The ETJ enforcement position is a city position, not a county position. This position would be a full-time city position devoted to the ETJ, with the county reimbursing up to 50% of the cost. Based on the needs within the ETJ, the city and county staff believe this needs to be a full-time position, allowing for more proactive enforcement to address deficiencies beyond simple complaints. Those are the two in accordance with planning. The other two are with the DSS. The director said that the specialist position is needed to help balance the work that is required regarding the management of DSS funds. They are responsible for state and federal funding. It will allow to transition a current role to a position they are more qualified for, and to recruit someone who will be able to manage all aspects of the funding. And 50% is paid by the state. The IT position, this is a current NCOL position and they are unable to inadequately meet the needs of the DSS in response time and service needs. Randall is here actually today if y'all have any questions about the need for this. And the state will pay for this as well, but it will be a county position under Randall. So those are the 4 positions that
Full-time or part-time?
it would be full-time. Yes, ma'am. And we pay full-time for NCOL right now. And we would save on that contract price.
Can I go back and ask the question about the used tire thing I know you said in terms of the thought of being brought from out of the state and stuff like that and everything. When they come to dump it and everything, is there any way, do you do any checking to see who they are, like driver's license or checking the tags on the back of the car, the back of the trailer?
The GFL staff run those facilities and they
Okay,
should,
Okay, so y'all, we don't have any.
but we don't, I mean, some
I just
counties
wondered
have
whoever's doing, do they have any kind of checks and balance?
yes,
Because if you ask somebody where, if they give you a Virginia license, oh, you're at the wrong place.
right, yes.
And,
Some counties have stickers that you have to put on your car, but you have to pay for, and a lot of counties have done away with that
Right.
recently. But when you're this close to the border, you're gonna have people going back and forth.
yeah, because they can claim they're doing work over here, right? Yeah. Okay.
Just had a question. I know for the Parks and Recreation, the expense like for the aquatics has gone up. Is that it's because of it going down because of low usage during COVID, or what has made it?
No, ma'am, they
increase
had,
significantly?
maybe on that. Did a segment on that, 1 second. They did they did a treatment a few years ago, so that has come down. But let me find where.
They closed the pool for a period of time,
Yes,
maintenance.
yes, sir, they did. But that was 2 years ago. It's gone up this year. And you'll see the request in here, and the difference. Here we go. Parks and Rec went up 100. It went up 100,000, 548. And I wrote down one.
It was in 80,000 of it was in water sales.
Mm-hmm. No, in water sales.
$5,000 in connection fees.
I'm in the Parks and Rec budget.
Oh, I thought we were in the water.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, water, okay.
The aquatic centers.
Aquatic.
Aquatic center. Oh, yeah, they did go up. Rec and
They
had
did, they,
substantial increases.
1 second.
That was why I was concerned about it.
Yep.
And again, every year we have the same conversation. I think they have 3 softball teams this year. I think I saw in last month's report. Yet we're still spending the same amount of money when we had like 15. And the programming is not reaching much of the public, of our kids.
All right, here it is. The overall increase for the Parks and Rec were 100,548. Recreation is increasing 72,639, and aquatics is 27,909. We pay 45% of that, and then if you go to the budget, to their request itself, you'll be able to tell the difference, and one of it is in, they did not, the city manager did not approve any capital. It was mainly in operational and personnel. And you'll see the difference. And if you look on there, you'll see what they requested versus the manager recommended. And it's the same as us as recommended.
Okay, thank you.
And I missed what you said. What you said about the rec department? What you said?
We did have like 15 softball teams. I think now we currently got 3. We're not serving near the number of people that we served in the past. The programming is, you know, and you've seen that over the years, Leo. We've had numerous conversations about that. We're not getting a bang for our buck right now, and now they want to go up more.
I think that's some issues there that need to be dealt with by the city manager.
Do what?
I just think some issues there that need to be dealt with by the city manager in terms of.
And that's it. We sit here and we put a lot of money into something and it's not working.
But we do realize, you know, the rec is essential for our community, help with the children and their morale and their health wise in terms of exercise, and being involved in the community through those teams and everything, and being able to learn to swim and learn different things that's going to help them later on. And so, you know, we want to just make sure that, you know, the money is being utilized in the most efficient way. We're not questioning not having the rec, you know, because it does provide an avenue. Some people use it for after school care to parents get off. So there's various uses for the rec center, you know, nonprofits are able to use it for reduced or no fee. So, you know, just being able to have it is beneficial, but we just want to make sure that the numbers are correct. That's all.
They've got $60,000 to put restrooms upstairs in the rec center.
What page you on, Dan?
Page 99.
The Parks and Rec budget, our budget.
No, the Parks and Rec budget.
Which one are you, say again what you said? Did you-
Which is page 99.
Yeah. What,
Line item 507, 300. Capital outlay. 99 on that supplement thing. Yep. So they've got $60,000 in there to put restrooms upstairs.
Yeah. This is page,
He's looking at right.
right.
they, are you saying for 75,000?
Part of that 75,000, 60,000 of it is restroom.
It runs out up there at 80.
So that's a
Yep.
capital improvement.
But they didn't approve that. They didn't recommend that. So if you look on,
Okay, the next line over.
yes, sir. So they requested it, which was they wanted to replace tables and chairs and upstairs the restroom, but the manager did not recommend that. So the increase is $100,000 and a majority of that is if you look at their staffing, it's salary increases and FICA and retirement. So if you go back to look at what they recommend, you know, like,
You say 99 pages.
I did.
so like if you look at they have a full-time staffing bonus of 16,000
89.
and then,
So are you on like that page 76?
That was.
Now, the current budget was 179 and he recommended 130.
that's right, because they asked for an additional additional person and they denied it. So, but then if you go up to line items to 10-620-500-222, the manager recommended a $16,000 bonus,
$16 bonus.
full-time bonus. Mhm. So it is in personnel.
75. So.
You know, we're kind of tied on that. Either we're in it or we get out of it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they run it and we're 45% of it.
Yep.
I think there needs to be some revision in how that's conducted.
Can you break this down? Can you break this down for me, please? What you saying?
Just kind of, I don't think for the amount of money we're spending in recreation, we're getting our money's worth, bottom line.
Yeah, let me clear up something for you, Sean. At the very bottom of the page, the manager recommended a budget for total recreation of $1.4 million. The county has I don't know if it's a contract, but we are in agreement that we pay 45% of the $1.4 million. Their discretion, their budget, we pay 45%. To Commissioner Brummett's point, he wants to discuss that they are not
Discuss, right?
with the city, not
But again,
us.
we're not fixing to, there's a notice procedure you have to do so many months before the budget. If you want to have conversations about changing things, we're outside of that window now. So that's not a conversation we can have. The other thing is we do 45% on the operating budget, but I believe all of the debt we have, if we still have some, is on 50% basis.
I don't think we need to get out of it. I think we need to have conversations with the people about what they're doing. Having been a proponent of continuing education, my profession, lifelong learning, I think lifelong learning activities for the kids are good. But I just think you need to look at, a conversation. There are things that you can do to increase, Dan, just as you said, in terms of, I know your thing with your daughter softball, my thing with my grandkids and everything, they're playing t-ball, softball, basketball, little league ball. I think there are things they can add like tennis and golf and stuff like that. So I think there needs to be a dialogue in terms, I think we need to stay in the game. We need to have a piece of that game. And I think it's a good fit for this community and everything.
All right, so page 112. It's just a one line item for contributions to other agencies. Take your time. We'll get there. We got plenty of time. Okay, so if you look down and you'll see general fund 10, 600, 500,214, recreation for the city. That is 45% of their ask. And then you go two more down to 500, 217, the recreation and aquatics. That's 45% of their ask as well. They don't have a broke down the way other departments do. It's just a one payout. Mhm. So at this time, this is our follow-up from all of your questions from yesterday. So Madam Chair, we'll just take direction from you on what you'd like us to do from here.
I, just give me a minute.
Take your time. Mm. Mhm.
On the, in the capital improvement plan, this year, we have 75,000. And it has to pay go, so we, state pay for that.
We're gonna say, I heard 75,000. I didn't hear what you said after that.
Under emergency operations 911, the mobile CAD computer.
Yes, ma'am. They are at the end of their life. And so we're gonna start replacing them over time instead of doing it all in one chunk.
So the 75 will be the first installment.
Yes, ma'am. I think we're gonna do, Brian's not here right now, but I think we're gonna do all volunteer departments first and some of EMS, and then next year we'll do some of the sheriff's office and fire or what,
So what's their grant for that?
No, ma'am. We did that. I think y'all replaced them. Next year will be 6 years ago, and they're just the life cycle of it.
Has anyone looked into to see if there's a, I know he gets a lot of grants. through
Yes,
911.
I personally have not, but we'll double check and make sure. Mhm.
Now, now that ambulance remount, I see 400,000. I know you said it would be a lot more if we actually replace the ambulances. So how much are we saving doing the remount versus the?
No, well, we're remounting 2 ambulances for the price of one brand new one.
How old is that?
The 2 that we're remounting, 16s, 2013s.
There's 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we need to look at on these remount things we're doing.
Okay.
They're allowing us $1,000 on our old motor, on the old part of the unit, the motor and everything.
Who's they?
The company that we're going with,
Oh, okay.
contracting with. So we're getting $1,000 for those things. Those things, they're diesel engines with, 100,000 miles on it. You can probably sell them for $5,000 or $6,000.
So instead of trading
Instead of
in, do you want us to
trading,
try to
get
sell
them-
them?
Yeah, because all they're doing is taking them and reselling them. Somebody takes them, they put a flatbed on them,
Okay,
and they've got a nice farm vehicle for
Okay.
whatever.
we can work on that. Mhm. So they'll take the box offers? We'll work on that.
I'm looking at, 173.
Okay, and that, and next, under the HVAC pumps at Eaton Johnson Building, I think we had 195,840.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
didn't get new ones when we renovated
No,
No, ma'am, this is on the separate wing. This is on a different wing.
That's on the wing where the Head Start is.
No, ma'am, I think this is on the, let me make sure. I don't want to misquote you. I don't want to misstate
Mhm.
something. Give me 1 second.
well, that's not this year. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is that the gym part?
hold on, let me look it up just to make sure. I don't want to. Okay, this is for replace HVAC pumps at Eaton Johnson. These pumps will push hot and cold water heat through the Eaton Johnson office part of the building. These pumps are very old, Eaton Cool. So I believe it's and the air handler, the main axle to control the fans is bad pulley. In the kitchen and the cafeteria area of this building.
So this is where we rent it out to grow.
Yes, ma'am. No, not, this is the other in the very, very back, the office part.
Talk about the annex.
Mhm, I believe so. Let me find out before I,
That's a lot of money. But that wasn't part of the original renovations.
no, ma'am, it was not, it was separate.
We ended up, I think we replaced the boiler
That, everything
Oh.
over there is broken.
with the old units. Yeah, they had robbed, they
Mhm.
got into it, they had robbed it. Robbed the units and carried them over to some of the schools. And so we ended up having to do more changes. But we
Um,
still got old units on all those roofs, if I remember right.
And I had a question concerning, well, this isn't this year, okay, so where it has the fiscal year 2025 and concerning, renovations of the fire station and the, 75 Quaint engine fire truck, that wouldn't be, we won't, this is not for consideration for us right now, right?
Ma'am,
Okay, thank you.
What's the page you on, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
well,
And then the,
NO 173.
the EMS, the public safety campus, that 5 million, that's for next year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just a estimate of what you all think it may would cost.
Yes, ma'am.
And that 5 million, is that those ARPA funds that we,
Yes, ma'am.
if, what I want you to do is just give me a running tally of what we received and then how it's expended.
For the ARPA.
We're working on it.
Asking for it. You wanna?
How to put it, money is spent.
Okay. I just.
Okay, does anyone else have any more questions for either Chris or Catherine concerning the budget?
Yeah.
Does anyone else out in the audience wish to make statements before the board or have questions about anything that they wish to have addressed at this time? All right, Javier, you may approach.
You just said about the ambulances, and that's totally.
We
fine.
can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Okay, so as you said about the remounts, which is fine, we can do that. This particular remount that we're doing right now, unfortunately, that ambulance, that engine is shot, completely blowed up.
Okay.
No use to it. So what I will say is what they're doing for us on the back end is any of the remounts that still have some life to it, we can do one or two things. We can either do, as you say, do, and see if we can sell it on our own or whatever value that they give us to it. They take that off the price, further take that off the price of the ambulance that we already paying for to get remounted.
Right.
So we have those two options.
Yeah, currently they're giving us
Whichever-
$1,000 for it.
No, more about 2,500 or more. But they gave us almost $2,000 for a blowed up ambulance.
Okay.
The
I mean,
engine was
one's
completely
blown up,
shot.
I understand that. but-
Yes, sir. And so they still gave us $2,000 for that. And then that's gonna be towards the price of the remount.
Now, as we get to the next one that we do, which so far, so good, is still operational, that price could go up. But whichever is the highest, if we could sell it.
I just think it's something for us to look at. It's a way to generate a little bit of revenue.
Sure. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew that part.
Yeah, I knew we had one that was blown up this time.
Right.
Let's just wait for her.
Okay, was there, anything else do you think raises any flags that the commissioners should be aware of in the budget, you know, that we really need to consider at this time?
I mean, we've gone over all the differences and expenses and major changes that we've made from last year to this year. Anything that needs to be made aware of, we still have just 5 things outstanding for us to be able to proceed till our June 5th budget hearing.
Okay. And we're gonna have, the public bit to address this at, is it at June?
The June 5th meeting, yes, ma'am.
So we've given our department heads the ability to address the commission today, and then the public, we will have an opportunity to address the commission concerning the budget on June, at our June meeting, which is June 5th.
Yes, ma'am.
For scheduling purposes, Madam Chair, there is an opportunity if you want another budget work session on Monday, that's 5/15, May the 15th. That's totally the prerogative of the board. And then on June the 5th, we were planning to request the Mosley, the jail architects, to come present to a 4:30 work session before the 6 o'clock regular meeting where you'll adopt the budget. That's the earliest they can get here and provide the information, the completed information. We did send around information this morning for jail update on where they are, but they won't be completed until that time.
Okay, do you all want another budget session before it's, before the public,
Monday, if you choose. the Monday.
Madam Chair.
not this Monday?
Madam Chair, I think a lot of the issues here are relative to public safety. And I think you're fixing to schedule a public safety meeting. Maybe after that, we have that meeting, then we could come back and regroup and have some conversation.
That probably would be best.
So when is that?
Okay, if no one else has any questions and none of the public have any, none of the department heads have any questions, we are ready to adjourn.
We just have one question. When would the Public Safety Committee be
And would they
scheduled?
address the planning positions?
Okay, right now, we're looking at Tuesday at 3:30.
Or can you hear, I don't leave work to after
Oh, wait,
4
4:00.
Okay, Tuesday, the 16th at 4.
And Madam Chair, the only other outstanding other than public safety, there's still, but it didn't seem that we had agreement, was are we okay with the zoning changes? The one change in the commercial, the approval of the carts requested funds, the comp plan funding, and then the positions. Those are the 4 outstanding outside of any public safety. So the staff just needs a little guidance on those, on what to include in the recommended or in the final draft of the budget.
To
I
keep them
think we
in.
can attend that at that meeting on after the
I
6th.
don't think we've approved anything. I hadn't approved nothing.
Yeah, I don't think we
You know, I
really,
get this budget on May 1st and I'm supposed to approve it today. I ain't approved anything. 'Cause I'm gonna look through this again now that you all have given me the information. I don't know how anybody else may feel about it. Would you, are you saying you ready to approve the budget today?
no, just these issues that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think what they're asking is just for consensus on some of these issues.
We would like to have the budget as cleared up before it's before y'all to a vote. So you don't have to do amendments and a lot of changes from the dais. That's what we're,
Chris, what would you like to do in terms of that process?
if there's some
Doing what
consensus
you need to have done, what would work for you?
around the carts funding, the zoning charges, the comp plan, those seem like, yeah, if we could get some better understanding of where the board is, then we could have that ready in the final draft, as well as the public safety, which you're meeting on Tuesday, and any ideas you might have on the
Are
positions.
you saying need to have a work after public safety meet, that we need to have a work session to sort of
Fine.
gel things together? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure that would be necessary,
Okay.
but it would just make the 5th go easier, I think,
But that's what you're saying then, right?
maybe.
Okay. Give us a date.
I don't think we need to schedule anything right now before the public safety.
You talking about a work session?
We
You're
should
not-
know if you want carts in the budget. Are
Yeah.
y'all, as a whole, are we okay to leave the funding in there?
For what?
Carts?
No, Archie, we had a meeting with them, was it last night? And based on what you were able to garner from that meeting, you think this is gonna be sufficient?
Yeah, 113. I drilled that in last night.
We'll leave that in there.
113 is all they're asking for the whole year.
No range, no.
Did,
pullback.
did they have any ideas for revenues or anything last night?
Oh, yeah. I mean, their budget was there. And we went over it. They've got a lot of accounts receivables, backlog 6 months or so. That would bring them closer to where they are. But the bottom line is, we had all our counties there. And you were there. He showed up there. And the bottom line is 113 is the number.
Well, since we have two commissioners who were actually present and actually heard everything and heard the discussion, I don't have any issues with it. I don't think anyone
Thank you very
does,
much.
so that
Okay.
should be sufficient.
Make a note that they would not be coming back, asking for no more money. Under no circumstances. That was their agreement.
Y'all slammed the door in their face.
I was listening. He was doing the politics.
Here's the bottom line,
Yeah.
as we said before, there are 3 budgets at CART. Admin, capital, and operating, okay? The capital and admin budgets are done, and it's a 113 cost to us,
Okay.
period. They're still working on the operating budget, but what they said last night, based on what we heard last night, they're not going to come ask us for any money for the operating budgets because we have never funded the operating budgets. The counties
Okay.
have never funded the operating budget. So that's where we are. And we'll see what happens going forward.
Okay.
Well, based on that report, I think everybody is in consensus with the 113.
All right, do we have a consensus on the zoning changes? Are we okay as presented?
No.
No, okay. Consensus on the comprehensive use plan to
No.
move forward?
Consensus on what?
The comprehensive land use. So that'll go, and where will that be discussed later? At the public safety?
I mean,
What you mean comprehensive use land plan? Where?
One you
Yeah,
said.
we-
If we,
Go
if
ahead.
y'all want us to include the 120, if y'all are okay as a consensus to include the 125 for the comprehensive land use plan.
Yeah,
I thought
Without
we were
an
gonna visit and
unanimous
discuss it.
vote.
We
I
want to
think,
discuss
yeah.
it and everything, you know.
Okay, where would we discuss that at and when?
Where is that in this budget? Show me where that is. Is that on the page you just passed?
Second
that?
page.
Mhm. It's on the
I thought we were going to visit that, but who,
This?
who,
second page.
Dan's
Oh, the-
against it. I was
is
saying
that-
I was
no, but
for it
the
in terms of,
comprehensive land use plan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he's talking about the comprehensive land use plan that we spent a whole
Mhm.
lot of time.
Yeah.
talking about.
Mhm.
but
How much you say would, it would be?
125,000 up
Yeah.
to,
Up to.
125,000.
$125,000, but I thought we were going to look at it and investigate. Where does that be done? As a group or what? Where?
I just want to know whether are y'all going to deny the budget if I put this in there because of that as a consensus? Do y'all want us?
I
to
don't think we were
include-
talking about putting it in the budget. I think I wanted to discuss it, investigate it.
So take it out.
take it, right now, take it out, I think, in terms of
Okay.
looking at it. What we need to do is look at it and see, we need to look at it and discuss it
Okay.
as a board. I'm for investigating, I'm for updating the plan.
Well, if you leave it in the budget,
Tell me what I need to do.
it allows the appropriation to be there. And then we could go to bid and come back to the board at a work session and say, this is it. And the money's there, you wouldn't have to amend the budget.
But Mr. Taylor was saying that we don't have to accept it and everything, right?
Right, we
Right.
don't have
I'd
to
like for it to
accept
be,
the
I'd
bid.
like for it to be there.
Somebody
Dan's
there
against it.
accept this, though.
No, I just
Right.
think it's too tempting to have it there. It's a waste of money to start.
Well, I don't think it's a waste of money.
And we could take that
Really informed
$125.
you. I don't think it's a waste of money.
The bottom line is,
See me after the meeting.
what I'm hearing is, Madam Chairman, if the money is there, we don't have to spend it,
That's
but
correct.
it's there.
Right.
In case we want to spend it,
Yeah, but otherwise we can take that money
Like
out
we
and
we
we
might
can,
do something else with
Well, I
we
it.
can
think it's
lower the
like-
tax rate.
It's like
process.
4-1, so the
Yeah, we
consensus,
might do something else
Yeah.
with it, but at least it's there.
it's 4-1 that we go ahead and leave it in the budget.
Leave it in the budget.
You know, we're not committing to it, but we want to leave it there. You know, we would just ask that, you know, when you go out to bid, sort of get some kind of idea of how, the different pricing.
I'm not even saying we go out to
Yeah.
bid and everything. I'm just saying leave it there.
It would have to come back to us for approval
Right,
anyway.
Right.
The,
Other issue.
the one that the CFO had mentioned, the zoning upcharge and positions would not be discussed in the public safety committee per se. So if we could get some better understanding of what changes need to be made there, then I think we'll negate the need for a work session.
Yeah, I've already discussed, with Kelly too about, calling a committee meeting for human resources.
Okay, okay,
I've discussed that with her earlier, the Human Resources Committee to discuss those positions.
Okay.
Along with Greta, so we can have better insight. And then come back with our recommendations. Yeah,
thank you for that, Madam Chair.
I mean, where I'm at on that, I think as far as the fees, or trade fees, those things.
Yes, sir.
I'm fine with it. I would like to see as far as, on our commercial stuff, I'd like to keep those fees down, all we can. On the zoning change, those things. When you go to the Board of Equalization and all that, or whatever, the Board of, we'll just get to the fee schedule.
yeah, I want them comparable with the other counties, surrounding counties.
We're pretty comparable
Yeah.
with Warren County right now. And our economics are much closely resemble Warren County than they do Granville and Franklin as far as the amount of growth.
I would like to see what the other people, how far off we are
Because
in terms of the other counties that's surrounding us.
And
that's here.
yeah,
Okay.
Granville's $1,000. I don't know if they're increasing. Franklin's 500. I was informed they are increasing. I'm not sure if Warren County is increasing. But I can tell you, I mean, like we discussed yesterday, these fees are supposed to pay for the program, and that's why I don't remember, what was the last update? 08, maybe? I think last time these fees were updated was 08.
Yolanda just had an idea. She said, split the baby, make it 350.
The baby doesn't survive when you cut it.
Oh, our fee is 250 to 450.
That's what we're at.
That's what we asking for, because
That's-
I missed all of this before I could get here. so I'm
Yes,
trying to figure
ma'am.
out what you're talking about.
Everything else, the only one thing that was brought up yesterday was in all of our,
Zoning charges that they want to go up to.
just these zoning charges, these three, just this actual one in commercial real estate is a cost increase from 250 to 450 for these permits to be able to pay the program, to pay for itself. The below are the surrounding counties, so we would be right in the middle.
Mr. Kelly suggested 400 rather than 450. You know, I suggested 350. Mr. Taylor, what do you suggest?
About,
The zoning fee cost increase. Dan, doesn't want it to go up at all.
Well,
Yeah.
I told you I'll go with you on 350.
350.
That's reasonable and
That's the
Okay,
zoning
no.
charge now on the first page,
I'm in favor of the 350.
350. What about you, Mr. Austin? So I think,
Great.
can you live with?
I'll work with you. I'll work with you.
So 350 rather than the 450.
Yes, ma'am. we
Thank
have
you very
consensus.
much.
Everything else will be addressed at the public safety or the HR. Yes, ma'am.
And if there's any additional questions, please don't hesitate to email myself and Catherine. And like, we're trying to send out the information to all the boards, so you all get it at the same time. So if there's any other questions with what's in the budget, and the only two outstanding, I think we requested the Partners of Hope funding breakdown and the Boys and Girls Club fund balance. And as soon as we get those, we'll forward to the board as a whole.
Well, let me ask you, to get the boys and girls fund balance, what's the objective? What we're trying to do with Boys and Girls Club?
They asked for a certain amount.
they asked for 30,000 instead of the 27 they've
Yes,
been
what
given.
now?
They asked for 30,000 instead of the 27,000 we've been given.
And the only thing that was requested was what was their fund balance.
And we
No.
see that fund balance, what we're gonna do? What's the purpose?
Extra 3,000.
Same thing we did to Crime Stoppers.
I mean, that's a good point. What's the purpose? Exactly right. Are we gonna change what we're gonna do based on their?
If we're not gonna change anything, I haven't seen in terms of
That's-
Evelyn, I don't think Evelyn's gonna make any difference in terms of their fund balance, so.
But their fund balance doesn't make any,
There was already
doesn't make any difference if you don't know their budget.
The 3,000.
It was unfunded.
If you don't know their budget, doesn't make any difference what's in their fund balance.
They don't submit
You
a
have to
budget
know
with
what their
that.
budget is. and
What would they
their
ask for
plan is.
additional what?
Down.
Give them $1,500 and close it.
Oh, yeah.
Give them $1,500 and say,
Didn't we give them?
We already gave them an increase inside JCPC.
oh, okay,
So-
then that's it.
And that's one of the
No.
reasons why we
Get it.
said.
Let's
to
forget it.
unfund
Let's forget it.
It is a,
Staff was requested to get the fund balance. We'll give,
Well, if we're okay leaving it, then disregard that request.
thank you.
thank you.
You asked for.
Their fund balance.
Did you?
Oh. What you said, Chris, what you said, the staff requested what?
I said,
Another area.
a commissioner asked us to get the information, so we're gonna get the information, then it was, no,
You
don't worry
withdrew
about
it.
it, then.
Thank
okay.
you, sir.
So, Madam Chair, that means we will not program or plan for a work session on Monday,
Yeah,
correct?
no,
Okay.
we're not planning for a work session on Monday.
Thank you.
So can I get some clarification? The only thing you need a decision on will be decided at the safety committee meeting.
And the HR and the HR committee. Well, we'll need a consensus at that point.
You'll need a consensus on the HR decision.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, you're gonna meet with the HR people to see what's what about.
Yeah, I
that,
plan to
right?
attend that meeting and I would just
Safety
recommend,
committee is gonna take care of
Yeah.
that. So when do we get back together to know about that?
June 5th.
Huh?
June 5th. We will propose a budget at that point. Or do you want to have one before that to know, to see if we can have a consensus?
yeah. We just have our regular May work session, which is generally on what day? It was what May?
That'll be before those meetings.
So we,
That would be Monday.
Okay,
That'd
no,
be
we
the
can't do
third
Monday.
Monday.
so we could do it on the
Third, we would then
22nd.
resolve that issues.
Yeah, because we're gonna be
It'll be a
leaving
long day.
23rd county day.
So do we want to plan on a work session on the 22nd or the 29th before the final budget vote?
29th is the holiday weekend. isn't it?
Yes, sir.
The 22nd is on a Friday,
No, the 22nd is on a Monday.
Monday.
Mhm.
They got new positions. Okay. And then also George. What's the best day for y'all?
For which one?
Just after you all with it. Yeah,
I mean, I'm We're gonna have to.
Ain't between nobody.
After, cause I got meetings next
Throw it in
week,
text.
around, I
It's
go to
okay.
those meetings, I don't think I have anything else that I can remember right now.
Ain't nothing on my back. To be
No.
clear to you.
Well, then, Dan, you said what, the 29th,
22nd.
22nd?
29th is a Monday, is that Memorial Weekend?
Memorial Day.
Yeah, so 22nd is fine.
22nd would be a better date.
Okay.
It's on a Friday,
Yeah,
No, it's on a
Monday.
So that's the 22nd, 4 p.m. to finalize consensus on budget items. Then on the June the 5th, 4:30, we would have the jail architects to present their final, and then a 6 p.m. regular meeting for the budget. That's the will of the board.
that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you very much. That was very productive.
Mr. Sheriff,
May 19th, I am going to Surrey County. And you interested if anybody wants to drive with just let.
Did we find out how much that cost?
Yes, 45.
45, and that's a 368.
I just emailed it.
Text I sent you, two other facilities, not just detention center.
Okay, yeah.
One center and,
Magistrate,
45 million.
yes.
All in one.
I asked the Surrey County manager, he said that they just opened as 360 beds, 80,000 square feet. 50 to 55 COs are needed to operate right now, and it was 45 million. I spoke with the Haywood County manager. They went to bid for a 145 bed facility at 33,000 square feet. They had a budget of 17 million. It came back at 28.1 million. And that was in January, I think, is when they went to bid. So their bid was 64% over budget. So they're going back to design with the construction manager at risk. And they've invited me to come up and the 24th, I think, to meet with because they are using Mosley as well. And Davenport is their financial advisors. To just look at that construction manager at risk, because they said if whatever we do, that's what we have to do because the way bids are coming in.
what we look at, 40,000 was the proposal from the map we looked at the other day. Was that 40,000 feet? 40,000 square feet, was that right?
That was sent out this morning too. And when the manager and I met with the Mosley, I reserved extreme skepticism on their bid, on their estimates for 58,000 58,000 square foot new facility, which would have 236 beds. Hold on. That was estimated at 41.4 million. And to renovate the current jail with an addition, which would have 94 beds, addition, it was 27 million were the estimates. But Mosley suggested going with a CR, construction manager at risk as well.
How are they funding it, Chris?
Haywood is not. I mean,
What's their plan for funding it?
they might have to go to a bond. They've got some ARPA money. They've asked the legislature. I mean, it's trying to find money wherever they can.
so in the interim, I know, one of the, jails you had given us information on, they had budgeted for 17 million, which was insufficient actually to build their jail. As to them, do you think, I know we would be competing, for grants and all that and, from the state legislature, but do you think there are any grants out there that covers that type of construction work, for that? necessity?
No, ma'am, there's no grants. It is direct appropriation. It's an earmark in the state budget. I mean, that they have asked their representative to directly appropriate money to them for the purpose of a public safety facility.
So what about from a federal point of view, with Don Davis, has anyone talked to him about whether or not?
I'm not aware of any federal programs other than, and the sheriff may know, but some jails house federal inmates. I think you might have noticed a couple escaped up in Virginia from a county facility that were federal inmates. But I don't think the federal government's building a whole lot of jail. I mean, I think they,
Well, they just lost $3 million. They're too good. They're withdrawing because they let those two people escape.
Okay, you just had to ask. Okay, if does anyone else have anything to add? If not, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Sunny day.
Nice.
thank you, board. That was very helpful.
Kelly.